Passing through the veil of mystery, seeking answers no one is brave to ask. This is Bound to Truth.
Hey everybody, welcome to Bound to Truth. Christopher J. Lopez here. I'm here today with Skratch. I've had him on a couple times last year, maybe a little over a year. I can't keep track of time, man. The older you get, the time flies faster, and I'm just like, whatever. We're just gonna jump right to it, and I know this podcast we talk a lot about with the Bigfoot and a lot with with cryptids and all this stuff, but recently, but the big thing in my heart has been regarding the disclosure with UFOs. I talked about these last 2 or 3 podcasts, actually at the beginning of this year, was regarding the UAPs and how it all ties together, but without going too deep in that rabbit hole, I wanted to invite Skratch on, and the reason I wanted to invite him on because we talked a lot about with Aleister Crowley, and regarding a lot of the rituals, the satanic rituals, and all the stuff that's been going on for years, especially in Hollywood today. It still exists, in my opinion. But the reason I want to tie that in is because of his picture they had of Lamb that looks like an alien UFO being, and right now the big discussion is it's almost like there's a whole different religion of a new religion of UFOs and aliens, and some people believe that they are extraterrestrial, interdimensional. Other people in the Christian faith, especially, believe they're demons. So I want to get Skratch's perspective on what's going on. He's got a lot of wisdom. Skratch, I welcome you back, buddy. Thank you for being back on. And so, dude, there's a lot happening. What's your thoughts right now, man? What's going on in your head? What's the pulse in your spine telling you?
Okay. This whole thing is a very large, it's bigger than they're making it out to be. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I saw recently the latest batch. They showed one video of us attacking a UFO and destroying said UFO, blowing it out of the sky. Okay.
Right.
For me, the moment I saw that, it pissed me off because there's a lot. Let me get into that part first because I want to discredit that video before we even move on to anything else, and there's a lot more to move on to.
Sure.
But when they showed the video of one of our weapons destroying one of their weapons, and it's not just a secular group of aliens, conglomerated down into 5 or 6 or 7 or different types of ETs. We live in what's essentially the MIB universe, the movies, where there's all these different entities from all parts of other universes, other dimensions,
mm-hmm.
and not just our own universe. We live in a very massive, massive universe. But when you double that by trillions, and you consider that string theory comes into play, or multiverse comes into play, all this other stuff comes into play. As human beings, we're ants. We're little insects. We're tiny little insects compared to what these guys can do.
Okay.
When they showed that craft being destroyed, the first thing that went through my mind is if we did destroy one of their craft, they would retaliate with such ferocity, we wouldn't be sitting here today, years after the video was even made or after the event happened. So, considering that, what they blew out of the sky was either a drone, a weather balloon, literally, or one of those Chinese balloons that went from one side of the West Coast to the East Coast
mm-hmm.
in a matter of days. And they're proclaiming that's a UAP or a UFO. Yes, it could have been. The term UFO means literally anything like a drone. It leans into weather balloons or spy satellites, spy balloons. It leans into all of that.
So let me ask you this. Sorry to pause you for a second. Is that the recent shoot down over the lake 3-4 years ago, I believe, when Biden was in presidency?
Probably. I mean, it's one of the videos in the last batch of the soft release that they're doing right now.
Okay.
That's one of the videos. That's specifically the video I'm speaking of.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Because if they're going to show that video, which to me is not the multiverse aliens that we've been discussing since the beginning of you and me conversing,
Mhm.
that's a lie. Okay, that's a misdirection. It's another course of the misdirection. You're not going to get the whole story, and you're certainly not going to get all of the story that you deserve to hear from the government. If you're going to lie about one part, they might as well lie about all of it.
Right.
Okay, that's my thing.
So I'm going to that video. I looked a little bit into it. The second wave. I watched too much of it because it's kind of in the same similar. Some of it's been increasingly a bit more extraordinary, but not overwhelming. Personally, for me, maybe for people out there who are just joining in the subject about these objects. But for me, who's been doing it for many years, I've been inquisitive since I was 9 years old. I can go about that whole story another time. My thing is like, how did we shoot it down? I mean, if these things are so extraordinary, and because I remember there's one video I saw. This is before the release of the files are coming out. It was hit with a missile over the ocean, and it just bounced the freak off. It kept going. But then you're saying there's this video that we shot something down. I'm curious how it got knocked down. Do you think maybe it's something to create an agenda that's one of ours, or it could be an adversary like China or Russia that's also reverse engineering these objects and just using that with us? Or do you think it's just a misdirection just to create a narrative?
I think it's a part and a piece of everything you just stated.
Okay.
Okay, it's a part and a piece of it. They still okay. Where to begin?
No, go for it.
If they shut it down with say a pulse laser, okay.
Mm-hmm.
If they did that, that would be a part of the thing they want us to keep secret. We have national defense secrets. We need to have national defense secrets.
Agreed. Yeah.
If they use a pulse laser to shoot it down, that would mean that we have a greater technology and a greater power than whatever they shot down. Okay? Because what I saw over 30 years ago, if they had even tried to do that, they would have failed, and it would have been basically the end of civilization as we know it. Because what those guys could do back 30 years ago, and just as our tech progresses with every day, every week, every month, year, so on, decade, so does their technology. Their technology is increasing at the same rate or even faster than our technology, and they're already a million years ahead.
When you say they, do you mean these entities you're talking about, or you talk about
Yes.
Okay. All right. So
the operators of the craft that we think of as UFOs for a long kind of time called UFO.
So obviously, this is not. I'm going to assume within the government secrecy that's not our first time shooting something down. And why do you think? And it's a hard, maybe it's a hard question, but your own mind. Why do you think they haven't retaliated against humanity with regards to?
They don't need to.
Okay.
Well, okay. If like I said, if we had shot down one of theirs, if we had destroyed one of theirs, if we have captives of alien ETs that are in a base somewhere, okay. This is the best way I'm going to try to explain that part of it. If we found broken craft like they said in Roswell, or in Russia and these other places, China, where they say they have been able to take the craft and back engineer what they were doing with it. When these things aren't traveling from point A to point B, they're traveling through time and space.
Okay.
By traveling through time and space, once you leave your point of origin where you started, you really can't go back to that point of origin. Okay, there's no going back to where you came from if you're in a UFO craft like that.
Like Interstellar, no way. Kind of like in that movie Interstellar in a way. Interstellar, does that make sense? Okay.
Kind of that way.
Okay.
Yeah. You can't go back. You can only go forward in time. You can't going back in time. It's a fantasy. Scientists are trying to figure out how to go backwards in time. No, that's one of the laws of this particular universe. Once you go forward, there's no turning back.
Regardless of the technology, no matter how many times you fold the piece of paper, and what you're saying is like, yeah, you can fold the piece of paper from going from point A to point B, but you can't go from point B to point A back, regardless.
Right, right.
Okay.
Right.
Interesting. All right.
Okay. And there's reasons for that. I mean, I'm not a physicist. I'm not, okay, wish I were. And it'd make it a little bit easier for me to explain to you.
Yeah.
But think of it this way. You leave our planet, you have to know which direction you're coming back to our planet. And you also have to be in relevance to rotation around the sun. If you came back and you have a craft that can go anywhere it wants to, yeah, you could probably find a way to land. Mm-hmm. But you're going back to time is differentiated. Say 1,000 years has passed since you left and you were only gone 5 minutes ago. You come back, the technology that you left in is old school, old technology, no longer relevant.
I see.
Okay.
That makes sense. You know, this brings another thought too. Is like maybe based on conversations and theories from people, is why they're possibly been here for thousands of years, because they can't go back, or they won't go back because it's pretty much a one trip mission, right? You know, but I would
pretty much, yeah.
My theory is too is, or my thoughts, not theory, my thoughts is too is like, if they're so able to do that, how could they not? I would think that like space and time travel would just be like no different than coordinates, where you know, what if you were able to find, again, I'm not a physicist either, but like the frequency to go back to that same period where you left from and to go back into it. Or maybe to them it's like, this is a one-way trip, and we're going here to be on this planet, and we're not only just going to just visit, we're going to stay here. And my thing is, why our planet? Why here? And by the way, in addition to that, sorry for the extra questions, is that there's supposedly, as of right now, 4 different species, which I've heard about for many years, that they talked about it more in mainstream news, Fox News: the Nordics, the reptilians, the insectoids, and of course the famous Greys.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Those creatures, those entities, those beings are way ahead of us as far as technology goes. The goal has always been, always will be, the ability to be able to travel the worlds, the universes, the multiverses, the dimensions, but to be able to do it without having to have a machine, without having to have a craft. Okay? Mm-hmm. I watched your previous your podcast from last week.
Yep.
And you brought religion. You brought religion into it, and this is about to bring religion into it, because there's a lot of things that have been maligned, misinformation.
You're talking about like the pastor meetings I was talking about, and the whole like get prepared type of thing. Sorry to interrupt, but go ahead.
Right.
Okay.
No, you're fine. But you're verifying. Okay, that is not interrupting. You're verifying.
Okay, cool.
The goal has always been to be able to travel without craft. Okay, the entity itself, the soul, is the craft. Okay, when we see something in the sky, it 99.9% of the time it's occupied by a being inside of that craft, or beings inside of that craft. Mm-hmm. And I'm not talking about humans. I'm talking about non-human entities. Okay. If they leave their home to travel from whatever dimension, whatever universe they were in, to come to this universe, and they found us. Okay. They found us. They found us many years ago. In fact, they're the very reason that we're here. They created us. We're like in a giant, like a lab. Okay.
Or a giant zoo.
A giant zoo is even better analogy.
Okay.
Because everything on this planet has a soul. Animals of all species, fish, trees. If it's alive here, it's a particular type of species that these guys are studying. They're not just studying humans. Yeah, we're the most advanced on the planet, but we're also the stupidest ones on the planet as well. Okay?
Yeah.
And I don't mean that, I'm not trying to be facetious. I'm being quite honest.
Well,
We've
how
had
about foolish? We're too smart for our own good, maybe.
exactly. Well, like them trying, like right now with them soft releasing this information, it change. They're worried it's going to change religion. It's going to change civilization. It's going to change the way we think and talk about each other, to each other.
Right.
It's going to change how we do wars. There's a lot of truth to that, but there's also that little sliver of like, hey, we can fool them by saying that we shot this one down with our technology. No, you don't have the technology to shoot that thing down because if you did, it would retaliate against,
No,
you killed one.
that's a narrative. That's a narrative control. I agree with that. I agree with that thought process. Is because when they release it, they can show footage that, hey, we did shoot it down, and that
Nothing to
we're
be
in
afraid of,
control. Yeah.
nothing to be scared of. Yeah, we
Right.
have the technology. We don't have the technology. I can tell you that affirmatively because they can move through walls. They can move through solid objects. Okay, right now in the middle, whatever interstate is close to you that's heavily traveled every day, from 3 o'clock in the afternoon to 6 o'clock that evening, they could park right in the middle of that damn thing, and the cars, the trucks, the trains, people, birds, weather, whatever, go right through it, and they would just need to just, if they wanted to, they could just obliterate everything around them, more so than any weapon we have ever created.
Hmm. Okay.
And we have created some weapons that could destroy the entire world in the blink of an eye.
So here's my question to you. With that,
Mm-hmm.
now I'm going back to Aleister Crowley. Not about
Okay.
we already talked about his works. Yep, exactly. Yep. The guy. He had a conversation with a being named Lamb, who looks like a gray alien, right?
Right.
What's your thoughts behind that, if there's a connection at all regards to this phenomenon?
There is.
All right,
Okay, there is.
go for
This
it.
is where this is the part where, the best lies that are told always have a sliver of truth in them. The best
Hmm.
lies always have a sliver.
Hmm.
Well, mankind's been lied to for hundreds of years, if not thousands, um, mainly through religion. That's where most of the documentation that we've had written down in the past is circumvented mainly around religion.
Hmm.
People have claimed these are the words of Jesus. Well, the first books about Jesus weren't written until 100 to 200 years after he had been here and gone. It was all word of mouth up until that point. When you pick up a Bible and if you see the words, words are highlighted in red, that's usually supposedly the words directly from the tongue of Jesus.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
I can't remember something I said to somebody 10 years ago, much less not being present 100 to 200 years later.
Okay.
Okay. That is impossible. You can collect artifacts, you can collect machines, you can collect this. It's all meaningless if you don't have the backstory of what was it used for.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Like Machu Picchu. We haven't figured out how did they do that at Machu Picchu.
I've actually talked to an architect from my work, and I asked him about that just randomly, a client of mine, and he says it's outstanding. He says it actually scared him. He said he was scared by it because he's like, I don't know how it's done, because there's no way in God's green earth today that we could do what they
You
did.
can't do it now.
Yeah.
Right. How did they do it? Well, that wasn't humans. All right.
Yeah.
Humans did not build the pyramids. I mean, there's a guy who showed how you can move huge stones by himself.
Mhm.
I get that. He showed how Stonehenge would be able to be recreated. I get that. But why would you do these things and do it with such perfect astronomical alignment with true north, true south, true east, true west, and be able to do the things that they did without a reason? They just didn't do it for, we're just going to do it. No, it was to broadcast positions to other entities throughout the universe, not this universe, but other places.
Well, the funny thing is that now there's a new theory besides something beneath the pyramids. Is that now there's a rumor running around that it's not a pyramid; it's actually a giant obelisk. If I said that right, obelisk. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about? Like the one we have at Washington, the one at the Catholic Church, in Vatican. That it's actually bigger and deeper than what is on the surface. That it's not.
It was like an energy tool. They transferred energy and communications through it. That was a technology that was lost over time. At one time, the pyramids were solid white on all four sides. They never said what the coating was or why did the coating erode, but the coating did erode eventually.
Mm-hmm.
So we can look back through history at ancient aliens. We can look, to that program. It's got some really good, solid information there. There's stuff there that I never knew existed. They never taught us in high school. They never taught us in college. It's only come out since that program's been around.
Yeah.
But people laugh at it because they're like, "Oh, they're reaching. They're stretching. They're stretching their theories and stuff like this." And we have Skinwalker Ranch. The thing about Skinwalker Ranch is they haven't had the right people there, the correct people, the people who are they haven't had the right people there to have the experiences that they're looking for.
Well, the only thing I could say is with Skinwalker Ranch, which has been it makes sense now, but back then it was just didn't make sense. Like you got cryptids, you got paranormal, and then you got UFOs. Like how are they all connected? And what I'm realizing, they're all connected because I'm learning the one word is interdimensional.
Yes.
And is it from the same dimension? Is it something, or is it something that is created by these entities because of maybe our own thoughts of what we're experiencing? Like fear, excuse the movie Ghostbusters, right? Where it's like, what's your biggest fear? When was it Zool comes out? It's like, think of the biggest thing, this biggest fear that you can ever think of, and they have the State Puff Marshmallow that come out from Dan Aykroyd's character, and I'm wondering if that's kind of like that in a way, but the only person I could think who poured a lot of money into it is Robert Bigelow,
Yeah.
and I'm sure he has, and he straight up said this to me. He's like the first Elon Musk per se. He's very eccentric, but he's a firm believer. He even went on the news about maybe 10 years ago, saying that they walk among us. These beings walk among us. They're real. And then the reporter asked him, well, aren't you afraid of ridicule? He's like, I don't care. He's like, I don't care. I know it's real. I know the studies. To me, that's the best one. He hasn't given so much information, but he is so committed to his belief by the research he's done without the information provided.
Right. Well, I know what I know. I know what I saw. I know what I experienced.
Yep.
I know I know where I live now. I can walk out my front door just about any random night, look up in the sky and see something there that is clearly not an airplane because I live in an airplane path.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I know how to identify a flying airplane.
Mm-hmm.
I know what they look like when they're coming at me. I know what they look like when they're going away from me. I know what they look like when they're circling. Some of the stuff I've seen here, it wasn't an airplane. They couldn't have been airplanes.
Well, I'll tell you this before we end the show today. I got 4 pictures to share with you that I caught last night.
That's what I'm thinking.
A couple of nights ago. I'll leave that there. I'll show it to you when I put up. But anyways, keep going. Sorry. Go ahead.
I've seen things that, okay, it could have been a drone.
Right.
Was it likely to be a drone? Not where I live. There's no military installations here within 100, 200 miles.
Right.
There's no reason for a military base to be here. But prior to COVID, I saw an entire fleet of our Air Force go directly over the top of my house. I saw jets, and they were going south. Where are they going? I'm like, that's a hell of a lot of airplanes to be moving.
Mm-hmm.
It was weird. I mean, there's no mention on the news or anything. But I stood and I watched all of them. It took about a good 5 minutes for all these planes to go over the top of my house. And there were hundreds of them. It wasn't just a couple. I'm like, something big is going on. They're headed toward Cuba. Now, that was years ago. It's only recently come out about Venezuela. It's only recently come out about Cuba. They're doing some of the stuff they're doing down there. No mention on the news or anything. So the media is not the place to turn to for any type of reliable information. You're going to find it from people like me, people like you, people who are into this, but we're not being paid to go around and give speeches at UFO conferences and stuff like that. The truth will actually come from people who have nothing to gain, no books to sell, no videos to produce, no movies to make. It's going to be people who don't have interest in money. I have no interest in money about this topic. You and I haven't talked for a while because I've been reluctant to even talk about it with anybody. And it's not because I'm afraid of looking stupid or looking crazy or sounding crazy.
Yeah.
I just know things. I just know things that I'm not so sure that humanity deserves to benefit from this stuff. Because if I start talking about how I really feel, what I really think, okay, are they demonic? No, they're not demonic. That's their goal. They would love to be demonic because that would mean they would no longer need a machine.
Right.
Does it mean they would hurt people? Now, if we go back to the original turn of the word daemon, which comes from the Greek translation,
Yeah.
it meant wise one, more or less. Someone that knew a lot of shit, more so than somebody that's going to try to destroy your life and make you live through hell. Okay,
Right.
and it's just a lot of stuff. And religion didn't help, and it's still not helping. I know you're Catholic. I was raised Southern Baptist, and I've lost all of my faith in everything I was pretty much taught about the religiosity. The only person that's going to save me is going to be me. The only person that's going to save you is going to be you. It's going to take you to rely on your inner desire to be with God and be of God than it is for you to try to follow rules and enter heaven through being a good little citizen.
So let me
You
ask
haven't lived.
Let me ask this question though. Let's touch a little base of that because I am raised Catholic, and I am going to, like I shared before, I am very more firm in my belief in God and Christ, and that's my belief because of personal things I've had happen in my life. And am I going to Bible thump somebody about some things? No, I'm not going to do that. I try to do things with love and a optimistic mind with inquisitiveness because experiences that people have that's what they experience, right? So I don't ever want to tell somebody what they're experiencing is demonic and this and that. I just ask questions. That's what I do. So with that being said, with all that's going on and the whole thing that happened supposedly with these meetings with these religious figures, what's your thoughts about Jesus? Because Jesus, in my perspective, has been the one that has really turned the tables when it comes to belief, because you got the concept of salvation. Yeah, there's things that have been politicized and so forth when it comes to, like, and again, it's no offense to Catholic Church, but it's like, oh, you got to come to do this till you get forgiveness of sins, but it kind of like defeats the purpose of the whole thing about dying on the cross for salvation, right? So what do you think this is going to do with the whole concept of Christ, especially since a figure who again, the faith died for our sins and their salvation? That's a hell of a gift. What do you think it's going to do in regards to the announcement, and I will say the announcement of these beings? What do you think when it comes to faith?
I think it's going to be yeah, but when it comes to that, I lost my faith in that a very long time ago. I didn't want to. I wanted to believe that when I died, if I followed all the rules, I was good to people, love thy neighbor, all that stuff. I wanted to believe, and it's still a part of me it's ingrained into my being because I was a child. It's a part of me that I can't really. I've had to learn to let go and say, no, that's not it. That's not it. What he was saying, be like me, don't be me. All right.
Okay.
And for a lot of people, don't. Even in the first 10, in the before he was here, in the Ten Commandments, it says, never have a graven image of me as a god. Okay.
Right. There should be no other gods besides me. No graven.
Right.
Yeah, totally. One of the commandments.
That means that there were other gods available. There were other intellects out there that had technology far beyond the sheep herders who were writing the books down.
Well,
I am a jealous God.
That can go back into the book of Enoch or a book of Genesis. The Enoch's not in the Torah, but the book of Genesis of the Nephilim, right? So, but anyway, sorry. Go ahead, keep on.
So you're looking at that. Thou shalt have no other gods before me besides me. Thou shalt not have a graven image of me. Well, what's the first thing Jesus says? He's a graven image. He's an image. We've painted him to look, and he may not look anything like it, but we've taken images from Rome, and we've adorned them with thorns, and we wear crosses, which is a torture device, and we see that as salvation. How is that salvation when it's a torture device? It's not. So the whole story there's been even speculation he may have survived the crucifixion.
Yeah,
Okay?
I've heard that before. Here's an
Yeah,
interesting thing too. In addition to that, is I won't forget because my family, I love excuse me, I love my family to death. I have a big Portuguese family, and they're freaking awesome. They've got big hearts. We're stubborn as hell, but we got big hearts. But one of my family members sent me a video regarding, and I knew this before, but she sent me a video about alien abductions and how they use the name of Jesus Christ and they got rebuked. Have you heard of that before? But that's something I've
yeah,
heard about many times. Have you heard of that before?
yeah, yeah. I've heard of it. I mean, I
What's your
said it.
thoughts on that?
I rebuke you in the name of Jesus Christ, and all the demons scatter. All right. I think I think that there was another entity that called itself Jesus that wasn't Jesus in the way we think of Jesus being the Son of God.
Okay.
And I think that Jesus is the one that basically took the reins and pretty much said, okay, remember the story about when the devil in the last days was tempting Jesus on the mountain, said, look, before you, I'll give you all the kingdoms that you want. I'll give
Right.
you all the
Yep.
world. I'll make it
Before.
all yours.
Yep.
Who are we still talking about 2,000 years ago? A guy named Jesus.
Yeah.
All right. There's a lot of things that to me, and this is to me because I've seen things that most people would never understand. And if I even told you, you'd probably laugh.
Hmm.
But I said earlier in this podcast that everything that's ever been alive on this planet has a soul. Every single thing.
Hmm.
Dogs, cats, goats, pigs, horses, you name it. If it's alive, trees. If it's alive, it has a soul. Something that continues on beyond this little world we exist on for a
Hmm.
very short period of time.
Hmm.
Jesus never said anything about that. He never said anything about he just said that you're going to, he basically alluded to that most humans will continue on. Where do you want to go? You want to go to heaven? Or you want to go to hell? It's up to you. You need to obey these rules. And it was a form of control.
Yeah.
Jesus was never about control. Jesus was against control. Jesus was against money. He was against authoritarian.
Well, he talked about
He was against
he talked about the kingdom of heaven being within us, right?
exactly.
And the belief system is that once he died on the cross, because he fulfilled the Ten Commandments, the whole point of the Ten Commandments was the laws of God that people try to fulfill. But the whole point of Christ was like, hey, you can't fulfill them. I'm going to fulfill it for you. That's just God. This is the character of God. But because of my blood sacrifice, this is what's going to be paid. And he talked about the kingdom of heaven being within you. I mean, when he died on the cross in the Gospels, it talked about how even the cloak or that curtain, this thick curtain in the temple where God was residing, it ripped from the top to the bottom because it's supposed to resemble like that the Holy Spirit is free for people to have, right? And so that's
Right.
my thing too is that there's that freedom, right? And because we don't because that's to me it's like, and I deal with this daily. It's like I get so over religious and ritualistic that I keep circling the crap of like it's like I keep repeating my bad habits, right? And so I'm
Right.
trying myself to free myself is to allow in that grace of God, because if I do that and forgive myself and allow that self, it helps me love others. And I believe and to me, that's the whole point of the gospel. One thing that Christ said in the Bible, again, based on the written text, is that
Right.
he's to sum up the Bible is love the Lord with all your heart, mind, body, soul, but love your neighbor as yourself. And the big part that I miss is love your neighbor as yourself. Do you love yourself in healthy ways? And if you can't love yourself in healthy ways, how can you love thy neighbor? How can you love thy wife? How can you love those people around you? That's something I'm learning at almost 45 years old. That it's a daily basis thing. I mean, sorry if I'm going off a tangent about that. I don't know if that kind of aligns with you.
Yes and no.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I've known 99.9% of the people who harmed me in my life, and
Mhm.
that's a huge percentage, have all been Christians. They've done horrible things, and their principle is okay. The Ten Commandments was the Ten Commandments when there were actually 15 to begin with, but
Hmm.
15 was just too much, so Moses narrated it. He said, "Okay, we're gonna edit this down to 10 because 15 is just way too much for these people to understand." We had to go back to the second trip up there to get the the commandments again.
I wish one of the commands.
Okay.
I wish one of the commands was to hate the Patriots. But anyway, sorry. So, I'm a Rams fan, so talking football. But anyways, sorry, it's a stupid joke. But anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
I understand.
Yeah.
No, I mean that once that happened, Jesus came and all the Ten Commandments were no longer relevant. It pretty much gave Christians a free right to kill, destroy, whatever they wanted to do, cuss, adulterize, be horrible people, and all they have to do is just ask Jesus to forgive them for it. All right, you want an example of that?
Sure.
Adolf Hitler. He killed his own kind, and by the millions, from over how many it was, I don't know. Was it a million people? Was it half many people?
Yeah.
He basically took what was taught then 100 years ago and still taught now, okay, is that you can just do any kind of horrible shit you want to. You don't have to ask the people that you've offended or destroyed to forgive you. You just have to ask Jesus to forgive you, and you still get to go to heaven. The Catholic Church sided with them on this, about a few things.
Yeah, especially with the Jewish. No, I know what you're saying, and I agree with you in that sense. And one of the things that I've had debates personally with myself is at the end of the day, it's the matter of the heart and the intention. And I agree. I saw this one message before that someone said they died, they saw God, Christ intervened because he was going to go to hell, but God said to him, "Don't let don't let my son's sacrifice be a convenience for your sin."
But
And,
it is.
but that's the point. It's the matter of the heart. Don't take advantage of it, right? Because at the end of the day, we're still accountable for our actions, right? It's not like, "Oh God, forgive me, I'm sorry." At the end of the day, type of thing. It's a matter of the heart. That's my personal belief. Sorry, but I just wanted to share that in that way. But I totally get where you're coming from. Anyways, continue on.
But again, that's become a philosophy for people. It's become a philosophy where, brother, I've been ripped off by people who are who are preachers. People, I mean, literally ripped off by preachers. During buying a car, for one instance, for another one, I'm buying my house, and the couple were both in positions of power at a local Christian school, and I had to basically sue them to be able to live in my house. I paid them the money, but because it's a long story, I'm not going to go into it. But they literally tried to steal. They tried to steal a house from me and $50,000.
Wow.
And this is people who are teaching people, preaching to kids, telling them how to be a good little Christian kind of thing. And it wasn't just them; it was my own family. My own family did it to me, and I was raised in their religion. So I don't have a problem with Jesus. If Jesus is real, he'll understand my point of view. But I do have a problem with Christianity because of the shit it's caused me in my life. And it has been, I'm just giving you a couple of examples.
Do you mean like would you say like the politics behind it, in regards to people making the whole forgiveness thing being convenient for their own actions?
That's one part of it. Yeah.
Okay.
That's one part of it. Okay. That's one part of it. These people actually believe they're going to heaven when, if it's kind of like ye without sin cast the first stone.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And that was that. That's a good parable. Yeah.
It is.
Nobody can cast the first stone, but yet, guess how many rocks have been thrown at me? When, especially when it comes to this kind of a topic, because we're dealing with something that's a combination of technology and spirituality. Because, like I said earlier, the goal of the entities aboard the craft have always been to travel different worlds from universe to universe, from dimension to dimension, without the use of material objects, without the use of machine. And even though they can do some incredible stuff, at the end of the day, it's still a machine. It operates by cold fusion or something similar to cold fusion.
Well, there's a talk
of machine.
There's a talk of element 115 from Bob Lazar. I'm sure you know the story about Bob Lazar, right? And what the funny thing about Bob Lazar, he talked about Area 51 before it was actually acknowledged. In addition to that, he talked about element 115, which was discarded until 10, 15 years later, it's on the periodic table.
And that's on parallel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bizarre is very on point. Okay.
Yeah.
I experienced my first experience before Lazar came on the scene.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people at that time were saying he's nuts, he's crazy, he's lying. We have no proof of this. Well, it's very easy for the government to erase you in so many ways. Just getting rid of his identification, clearance, authority and stuff. That was easy.
Well, especially back then. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They can do it even easier now. Okay.
True. Yeah. No,
we have weapons now that we do have weapons that could destroy our planet. But when they say we destroyed one of their craft, no, not likely. Not likely. It may be old tech that they destroyed, but it wasn't one of theirs. Okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Yeah. What do you think?
We have craft now.
What do you think about AI and extraterrestrials or non-human intelligence? Do you think AI is a stem of the technology that we've discovered and observed, or do you think it's something completely separate? Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, that's my question. I have my thoughts on that. Go ahead.
I think AI. I'm gonna be honest with you. I like AI. I don't like what's going to be done with AI. I don't like the direction AI is headed, but I do like AI. I like AI for entertainment. I like AI for music and for movies. Mm-hmm. But AI has also put that doubt in people's minds, and that's what I don't like. It started with Photoshop. Remember Photoshop when everybody was making?
Oh yeah.
We can make a dog talk. We can make this or that happen.
Right.
And it looks real. It's fooled a lot of older generation. Now, question everything. Don't just question authority. Question everything.
Well, you're going to question all, like let's say the government came out with the body of the aliens, right? How do we know it's not narrative control AI generated?
Precisely.
And with wars that's going on. I joked with my wife one day and I was like, how do we know the White House is still there? They put it on TV. How do we know it's not AI? We have no freaking clue. It's like the Matrix for real.
No.
Right?
And it is. And this goes much deeper than money. Okay. Some people crave money. Some people crave power. And a lot of people crave both. Some people want fame. Some people want fortune. There's all these kind of things you can want. But does it really bring you true happiness? Knowing the truth is what brings me true happiness. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to find the truth from the government. I'm going to find it from, like I said earlier, people like me, people like you. We have nothing to gain, nothing to lose.
Yeah.
It's always, and that's why they're doing this thing.
Well, and I agree with you on that. And I was talking to Gary. Gary, of course, right? Obviously he introduced, and and by the way, I love that man. Him and I had a great conversation yesterday, and a good heartfelt conversation. Love that dude. What I love about it is like you and I discussed, especially with the religion aspect of it. We're not always going to have the same perspective, but there's a respect factor because it's about knowing the truth, which I love. We're here to research together.
Right.
But I did take a 5-month hiatus from doing podcasting because of that fact of I've seen a lot of podcasts and a lot of things on video that are doing a lot of shock value and a lot of sensationalism. It kind of depressed me a little bit because I was like, what am I like? What am I doing? It's no different than what other people are doing, But at the end of the day, I came to the point. It's like, you know what? I'm doing it, and I'm not here to try to over promote it. I try to do that a bit just to get the truth out there more. And yeah, I would like more likes. I would love to get paid to get full time. But at the end of the day, I came to the conclusion, like, you know what? I don't care. I care about is having like-minded people where we can have a conversation, regardless if we agree on everything or not, but that we're here. The whole point is seeking out truth and answers, and to have a conversation using the brains that's been given to us instead of just being told what's going on. It's like, it's like, let's get the information. Let's talk about our conversation. And like you said, like how you hesitated to come back on and do some stuff before. That was the same thing with me because it kind of got me a depressed moment. It's like I know so much stuff that I don't know what to do with this information. I don't know what to do with it.
Don't do anything with it. Use it for your own benefit. If you feel like it's something you want to say to someone individually, me, Gary, anyone else, say it directly to them before you don't have a chance to speak any longer.
Right.
Say it today. Don't wait till tomorrow. Put it off for another day. If you've got something to say, like you did with your last podcast that I saw, do it. That's you. That's what this platform is for. It's not for anybody else. It's for you. And that's where I had to come to the realization. If I write the book or books that I could write about all of my paranormal, metaphysical, supernatural experiences, who's going to benefit the most? Me? I've already lived through it. I know it's real. I have no need to question it. Me putting it out there for other people to read, it might help a small percentage of people. But again, it might not. It might
Right.
be something I need to hold back, basically for me, because the people who have needed to see this stuff and know that I wasn't lying or making it up or fibbing or anything on drugs, whatever. Those people who needed to know, they know. It's real. There's no joke about it. I believe in demons. I know that demons exist. Why? I've had experiences with the very people I told you about a moment ago that are Christians. One, sometimes they knew things that there was no way they could have known other than something around me was able to tattle on me to that person. Okay? They knew things no one could know.
Wow.
But a person's sense, I've seen their faces distort and change, not like in the movies, okay?
Yep.
But subtle changes that were just very different. And my parents did it to me when I was 4 years old, which was, I've only recently had that memory resurface after 45 years,
Wow.
46 years. All right. I remember them walking. I heard a sound in the other room of the house. I was sitting in the living room, playing on the floor in the little toy trucks or whatever. And they walked into the room after this weird sound. I can't even remember the sound. I just remember there was a sound. I can't hear the sound in my memory because I was so young. But what I do remember is when they walked into the room, they walked side by side, stiff as boards. And they're looking at me with these evil eyes. These are my parents. I'm an only child.
Right.
They started talking about me to each other, and they said some things that was like, it was cruel. It was cruel in a way. I said, I need to remember this. At 4 years old, I'm like, I need to remember this. Okay, someday it'll make sense. It did. 45 years later. Okay, after they're dead and gone. And it's like, yeah, anybody can become possessed. It's not like in the movies where an exorcism is being called for by a priest or anything like that. Sometimes it's very subtle. It's very quick. It's only for a moment, for a minute in time. And it can happen to anybody. And that's what it proved to me is that if it happened to my parents who were extremely religious, it can happen to anyone. And it's an agenda. It's an agenda by something dark out there. I think the aliens aren't looking at us and observing us. I think what they're observing are the ways that we're being infiltrated, influenced, manipulated by these dark beings. And that sounds crazy to somebody. I know.
No, that's actually, you know what? I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I never thought of that before. If I'm understanding this right, is what you're saying. It's not just us that because they're so interdimensional, they can see things. Kind of like what Paul talks about in the Bible. We don't fight against flesh and blood. We fight against something that's darker. This principality is like a spiritual warfare.
Yeah.
Are you saying that they are, here not because of just us as humanity, or of course our glorious ego, but that there's something else going on that we can't see that is causing concern.
They're not looking at us. No, we're flesh and blood. Okay, they can go out and they can cut the eyeball, tongue, and anus out of a cow in the middle of a cow field.
Yeah.
And we'll go like, why'd you do that? And well, we had our reasons because we're going to do it again. We're going to do it over here to a deer.
Right.
I've seen that happen. And we're going to do it to a bear. I've not seen that happen, but I've heard about it. We're going to do it to all these other animals, dogs, cats. We're going to do it to all these other animals. Nobody's going to go over and look at a dog or a cat closely enough to see if its eyeballs are carved out with a razor blade or something sharper than a razor blade. They're not going to do it. I wouldn't do it. I have no interest in it. But they're not looking for us. They're not looking at us. They're looking at the things around us that can get inside and infiltrate the human mind. They're looking at those things. Okay?
Interesting.
I know they watch. They watch me because these things, even the demons themselves, are constantly around me. I know they are. My parents lived to me when I was 4 years old. It's happened ever since then, for
That that
decades now.
that is interesting. Is that I mean, and it sounds stupid saying this because I never thought of it before. Is that they possibly could be looking at something that they can see that we can't see.
Exactly. Yeah.
That could be a threat not to ourselves, but even to them. Maybe I don't know. That's
Well,
a
yeah,
theory.
that's a threat. Think about it. If these entities can walk among human beings and do the make us go to war, make us kill. Watch the news sometimes, just anytime really, and you'll see some of the craziest stuff that people do. The guy wasn't on drugs, but he lost his mind to the point of where he put his baby in a microwave oven or something horrible like that. He what what caused him to do it, and he'll even walk away going, "Why did I do that?" And he's
Yeah.
like, "I lived with him. He don't know why I did that. What. And
Right.
so the easy answer is, "Oh, I was demon possessed." That causes a lot of people to laugh and speculate because they think about The Exorcist, Linda Blair throwing up pea green soup, or any number of other of these horror movies that have come out in the years or books. It's a fantasy. That's part of the fantasy. Even the Bible talks about it in that way, and it becomes a part of the fantasy. And there's no fantasy to it. There's no fantasy at all. It's a reality. It's just that the way they present it. Okay, so utter the name of Jesus Christ, and the demon will leave. Right? Just say the name, and the demon will leave. Well, yeah, you'd leave too if your boss's name was the
Yeah.
same name as Jesus Christ. Yeah, it'd be scattering too. We're not talking about the same Son of God here. Son of God would have said stuff more important, like don't trust people so easily. He would have gotten much deeper into what I'm telling you now. He
Yeah.
would have said everything that's alive has a soul. He's the Son of God. He would know. He'd have that direct link. The telephone call to God. Hey, God, what should I tell him? Tell him everything has a soul, everything that's alive. Treat with reverence. Not just people, but everything around you that's alive.
Right. And you know what? You know what's funny is it reminds me of the story Bob Lazar had with George Knapp years ago in the 80s that people have missed is regarding Bob Lazar's encounter regarding a document he said like this thick that became too about religion that was religion was created supposedly to protect our containers, but he didn't know what that meant. The containers of what?
Okay.
He said the soul, whatever that is. I thought that was interesting. That like you said, there's a bigger picture than just our physical form as humanity, than a commodity like with our resources. Like there's a bigger resource out there. There's a bigger agenda. What does that mean? That's my curious question, right?
Well, I
And so
could
anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
I can give you this is a short story.
Sure.
It's going to take me a second to tell you. Years ago, I like to go. I may have even told you this before,
Probably
but
did. Go ahead and tell it again.
if I did use the word container, okay, then this is kind of where this is kind of headed. All right. I may have even told you, and if I didn't, if I did, go back. You'll know I'm not lying about this.
Hmm.
I can't tell the same story twice without it being the same story. I just
Right.
can't do it.
Right.
I like to go to vacation in Tybee Island in Georgia and the beach. We were in a little hotel room. We'd been out in the sun all day. I'd been drinking. I was sunburned from being out in the sand, and I'm laying across the bed. My my my, my ex-wife at the time, or wife, whatever you want to call her, thing, because she was a horrible person. Anyway, she's in the hotel room where it's open sinks and stuff, and she's blow drying her hair. I feel something grab the back of my right calf,
Hmm.
and I heard something in my ear. It was a French girl, and she was saying chassis, chassis, very lightly. All right. I sat up and I looked around behind me, thinking that somebody had entered the room, grabbed my leg, and said chassis, chassis. Said it twice, very softly, but it was a definitive French accent.
Hmm.
I look at her, and she can see me in the mirror. She's blowing her. She turns her hair dryer off and said, "Did something just grab the back of your leg?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, "Me too."
Hmm.
Weird, huh? And I'm like, "Yeah." See, Tybee Island was close to where the slaves were brought over from all parts of the world. That was very close to Charleston, where all the slaves and a lot of people went that area to escape the world account they left. They were coming to a new world. That was the port. Anyway, we go to dinner, and I'm thinking about it all through dinner. Chassis. That's part of my truck. Somebody's trying to tell me something's wrong with my truck. Okay. So the next morning, I go out and I look underneath my vehicle. We've got about a 6-hour drive to get back home. I'm looking at it, and I don't find anything wrong with it. I don't find anything wrong with the car at all. But it bugged me because this is the first time a spirit spoke to my ear after touching me. Because it was a light grip, but it was firm, and it was like it was telling me something. At that time, Google was still in its infancy, and we were just starting to have computers in the house. So I looked up the word chassis. All right. Come to find out, it was the way it was worded, to where it meant it wasn't chassis I was looking for. I was looking for the word chalice, and a chalice is something that's a container that holds a fine wine. Okay. But she wasn't saying, I misunderstood her because she had a French accent. Of course, to be able to speak when you're dead, that takes a lot of energy. That takes like a lot of effort and energy.
Right.
So that's when I found out that the word I was hearing was chalice, not chassis of a vehicle or the part of a car that holds it together.
Mm-hmm.
It's the chalice, meaning container. And the container she was trying to tell me about was the fine part that she was the existence of. She was that wine. We are that wine. You are that wine. But it's inside of you. You're merely a container for that.
Interesting. Wow. Give me a lot to think about. Interesting. Before we end this podcast, can I show you the photos I was talking about?
Yeah, I'd love to see.
This was, and I'm not saying there's any connection, but this was from the Friday night on the second wave of UFOs from the government. But this was happening Friday night, and I'm going to share this really quick for you. All right, tell me if you can see it. Do you see it? Can you see it?
It's a straight line with
right.
a dot.
This is for my porch, my deck.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, another one. Okay.
It's the dot.
Yep. Another one.
Okay.
That's a second object. There's two objects. There was two objects that night. Yeah.
Someone would, a geophysicist would tell you that's Venus. One of these assholes.
I know, but I'm telling you right now,
that's not Venus.
I'll tell you right now, I've lived here in this house for almost 10 years, and I've never seen objects like that. And my wife, it's so funny because I know people are like, why don't they just video it? Why don't they do this? I was so shocked. I was having a conversation with my mom that night regarding God and salvation, religion, and I saw these two objects, and they were actually kind of doing this.
Yeah.
Dancing around. I've seen UFOs before. This was the most clearest thing I've ever seen that blew my freaking mind away. Right? Oh. And what does it mean? I have no idea. I don't want to put ego saying it was for me. I don't want to do that. I didn't even post it in my HOA group because I just because I guess I want to just, I don't know. I just didn't want to. I don't know. It's not that I want to share it. It was just more of like a personal thing. Personally, for me, it was like, dude, what the hell is that?
Well, yeah. I get it.
Yeah.
Now Now you caught something on tape. Okay, I'd love for you to email them to me. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, absolutely, for sure.
But I got a couple things I want to email to you as well. But besides that. When you experience something like this, and like you said, you've seen UFOs before, but this is the first time it's really grabbed you by the face and said, "Hey, look at me."
Yeah,
that's because you were meant to see it. It wasn't a casual. Somebody sees it. No, you're meant to see it.
Yeah,
I'm meant to see the stuff I'm seeing. I've talked to two other podcasts. You're the one that I've talked to more than once. Okay, I've been on your show a number of times. I have really no desire to talk to anybody else. And it's not because I don't want my story out there. I'd love my story to be out there.
Right.
But I want it to help people, not about my publication. So I get your feeling. And I don't want to share this because this is something that's so personal. Okay.
Yeah.
I've seen some stuff like that didn't make any sense at the time. Like the time I saw the giant 2/3 of a triangle in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
I think I told you that one. That was about 30 miles, at least 30 miles from point to point, at least. Seeing that, looking at it, I'm thinking, no wonder the Vikings believed in Odin. And because it looked like a big door was closing. It looked like the door was just sliding shut. And I'm
like that. What's that bridge where they call it like the bridge like in Thor, like it crosses universes type of thing. It's like opening to it. Yeah, totally. I am following you.
Like a door closing.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't long after that I saw it. I was watching a YouTube video, and a man had actually caught a picture of the entire thing with the entire. It was in the color gold. It not yellow light. We're talking about the color gold in the sky, and I'm like, that would be almost impossible to Photoshop. That was, but I never was able to go back to it. I was moving pretty quickly. I was working. I never got that particular video, which I could, because it would describe what I'm trying. It's a picture of what I'm trying to describe verbally.
Right.
Now, was that the same craft? It very well could have been, because it looked identical to what I saw. You know?
Yeah, and you know what, and like you're saying too, it's so weird because 20 years ago, if I saw that, I blast that all over the internet. Even though I'm sharing it on the podcast, I have no problem doing that. But I didn't want to but the thing is, the difference is like, I just wanted to not just share it, but just like share my thoughts on the whole thing, you know? And it's funny, I was talking to Kathleen Tedder, who's a friend of Gary's as well, who I've had in the podcast a couple times. And I've always asked her, like, hey, what the hell, man? I want to see his UFO. Come talk to me, dude. Like, what's wrong with me? Come talk to me. And I could have thought about that. And it's just like, again, I'm not saying, oh, it was personally for me. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. No one in my HOA group or anybody said anything about that. I'm the only person for me, I'm the person who saw it, but I haven't seen any reports of it from my area. I'm like 5 minutes away from the beach. So either people saw it, they don't want to talk about it, or I'm the only person who saw it and I'm crazy. You know, I don't know.
Well, you can't photograph crazy.
That's true. That's true.
You can't photograph crazy. You probably can. I mean, you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. But you can't share an hallucination with someone else. Okay?
You're right. You're totally right. You're totally right. It was pretty awesome, buddy. I'm gonna tell you right now. It was pretty freaking awesome. It was pretty freaking awesome. I was in a conversation. I shared with I was like, Mom. I told her on the phone. I was like, Mom, give me a second. I gotta take photos and I gotta share this right away. And she's like, what the heck is going on? I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. You know, it was really cool. But I definitely want to at least share it with you. I share it with Gary and a few other close people and my wife. But the point is, like, there was something going on. The activity is getting increasingly more. It's almost like the veil is almost becoming undone. You know, I'm just curious. Is what the narrative is going to be. You know, we got Disclosure Day coming out by Steven Spielberg, which to me, I'm going to say a psyop. I am not, this is not against Steven Spielberg, but just like something's happening. There's a reason. It's not a coincidence on what the freak is going on.
No, that's not coincidence. It's not coincidence at all.
Yeah.
I've just told you about a minuscule number of the experiences I've had.
Right.
With other people, by myself.
Right.
I told you about just a few of them. If I started telling this stuff to a psychiatrist, I'd be committed. I know I would be. They would be committed to a hospital, or they'd give me a job. Okay, I don't want a job, and I certainly don't want to be in a damn hospital. I've seen what they do in there.
No, fair enough.
I've seen what they do.
Yep.
Up front personally, and I don't want any part of that, and I still do today. Okay, so I'm very strict about who I speak with and who I tell this stuff to. Why I'm telling them? Because there's a connection here. I feel a connection with you. I don't feel with other podcasters.
Thanks, brother.
So I stopped doing that. I gave up on the desire to. I wrote the book. The book is buried. It's right over there. You know, when I say buried, I mean it's a file cabinet. I don't have any desire to make money from it. And people would accuse me of trying to make money from it. I'm like, that's like the last thing I really want to do.
See, and that's the funny thing, man. It's like I'm the same with you. Like I said before, that's why I stopped for like 5 months. It's like it's so like for me doing the podcast is I had to reframe it to really focus on making sure it's a platform like yourself to share your experiences, to share those things, to people to have a comfortable, open conversation, not about agenda, not about clicks, not about sensationalism and shock value. It's like, this is what's happening, this is what's going on, this is my experience. Let's talk about it. You know,
I see a lot. I see a lot of things like what's his name? The black guy that's an astrophysicist.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The other day, I watched a video where he did an interview. He's somebody that's doing this for the money, the clicks, the likes.
He wrote the book about. Yeah, I know exact. Sorry, go ahead. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
He just wrote a book. He did an interview with a girl on CNN or something like that, and he was like, just bring out the body because I still don't believe it. Okay. I read another one. I've talked to 40 people who said they've seen UFOs, and I don't believe any of them. All right. I'm like, okay, you have thousands of people all telling you different stories about what they've experienced, what they've seen, what they've interacted with. There's some things that have been rated XXX, not because of their sexual content, but because of the violent content of what happened to the people when they found the bodies after the aliens got done with them.
Right.
All right. That's something you'd probably find on 4chan if you're lucky to go back and be able to find it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, where does the doubt come to a point of, not everybody's lying. Not everybody's trying to make a buck off this. Not everybody's trying to bullshit somebody.
Right.
Where does it end?
Yeah.
Well, he's wrote a book, so he's looking to make money from the book. A book tour, for him it's a lifestyle because he's an astrophysicist. I'm like, you're an astrophysicist. Why haven't you started talking about interdimension? Why haven't you started talking about multiverse theory? Why haven't you just that?
Well, the thing, what's interesting with him is like all of a sudden he's on the bandwagon, right? It's a convenient time, especially with the movie coming out from Steven Spielberg. And prior to that, I talked about Age of Disclosure that came out in December, which was by Dan Farah, who was a co-producer with Steven Spielberg on one of his movies called Ready Player One. So it's like there's such a connection to this, and so it's like it's just like the writing's on the wall. And for people out there who are new to the subject regarding this is maybe a shocking thing and new to you, but for us, like Skratch, myself, there's a narrative that's getting out there. What we ask is that you ask questions. Don't take it for face value from what's been shared with you. That's the problem. That's the issue. We need to ask questions. It's not about defying. It's about asking questions because knowledge is power. It is. And honestly, it's so important that we and also most importantly is that we have conversations with each other about this. That's the problem. We don't talk to each other anymore. We don't. And especially in stuff like this that can have such an impact on humanity, on ourselves, because it's when people don't do that, people just live in fear. We don't live in fear. Skratch, you do want to live in fear? I don't want to live in fear. You don't want to live in fear.
Live in fear of what? Of what?
Exactly. Exactly. Well, exactly.
Why?
No, exactly. We don't. And do I still have fear about things? Yeah, I'm OCD is crazy. I still have fear about stupid things like losing my job for something stupid. That's a whole nother conversation. I'm working on a therapist on that one.
Well, you shouldn't have a fear of that either. You shouldn't have a fear of that at all.
But
I'm telling you, find a way. You'll work for yourself.
Yeah.
Work for yourself. not for yourself. Work for yourself. Find a way to make your own path forward. We could do it. Me and you, we could write books. We could go on book tour. We could make a fortune publishing this stuff. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to use something like you said, this personal for monetary gain. That's
Yeah.
like selling my soul. I mean, for me, that would be like selling my soul,
Mm.
and that's why I don't talk to a lot of people. I have I have no interest. You have a genuine curiosity. You have questions. There's things you want to know. We could talk for days. I don't want to be the sole person to talk to you about this stuff.
Yeah.
And maybe I should write it down and let it be questions for Gary, because I know Gary's got answers about stuff.
Yeah.
You could ask him, get his viewpoint.
Oh yeah, and I like I said, I had a deep emotional conversation yesterday about a lot of stuff as well, because my thing, Skratch, and I shared this with Gary yesterday, is when I die, I pray and hope that I'm with my loved ones. I know there's a conversation of reincarnation. I'm not going to go into that. Gary and I had some really deep conversations about that. That I can be reunited with my family, and be with my wife. To me, those are the most important things. The loved ones that are around me. I care about them. And most importantly, I care about everybody on this planet. I do. And no matter what people have done bad to me, and again, I'm not perfect either. There's some things that, hey, I'm guilty of that. I'm not.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But you know what though? I'm a human being. All I care about is salvation. I care about unconditional love, and I care about connection with people. And even, it's funny we talk about animals. Even with animals, I love animals. I can't even kill a spider anymore because I feel bad. I have to. Actually, when I find a spider in my house, I take it outside.
Love you for that.
I do.
I've been doing that. Yeah, I've been doing it for decades.
I've done that. I don't want to kill it because it's like this is a creature that is special. It's like I look at myself. It's like I'm that spider, or I'm that ant on the planet.
Well, I look at it like this.
Yeah.
I look at it like this. All of those little creatures, everything, are actually the eyes and ears and taste glands of God. That's what God uses to experience this world and other worlds within this universe. But that's going way beyond. Mankind have been putting limitations on God for far too long. They limit God to being a nice condensed 800-page book called the Bible. You can't condense God down to a book or no, just a few chapters like they've tried and they've done for centuries now. I guess there's no way you could write a book about God without it taking longer than 5 of your lifetimes.
Right.
Even close to a percentage about God. So I do believe in God. I do believe in higher powers. I do believe in devils. I definitely believe in angels.
Yeah.
But it's not in the same context. They're taking it wrong, and it's quite literal. It's not the same, but it's quite literal in the way that it's not being observed. People are too mean to each other. Like, you have loved ones you want to be with. I have loved ones. I had loved ones. I don't love them anymore for the things they did. And I found out decades after they're gone, I couldn't say anything. For me, it's not, heaven isn't quite it doesn't have the appeal that it has to most people. Okay?
No.
I'm a traveler. I want to go throughout I want to know the rest of the story that I never got to see. I want to be able to see through the eyes of spiders.
I think you and I are the same. It's like, once we die, we meet our maker, that we're like, all right, we want to know more of the story. let's travel around, because we don't want to settle. So we are about an hour 22 into it.
Wow.
Before I know, before we end this, I want to give you any final thoughts or anything you want to share with people out there, that you're comfortable sharing, regards to what we talked about today.
Okay. For me, like I said, if I wrote the book and I released the book, people would think I'm nuts. They'd think I'm doing it as a scam. I'm trying to make a movie or several movies, several books. We live in a much stranger universe than one person can ever comprehend. I've been granted a wonderful life. I've been through a lot of horrible, horrible, horrible things, but this world is a classroom. You learn as much as you can. Live every day to its fullest. Don't feel guilt about things. That's one thing I regret, is feeling guilt when there was really no guilt to be felt.
Mm-hmm.
God will pay attention to you if you pay attention to God. Okay? But yeah, I don't say him. I used to say him. It's not a him. It's an it. And it's a wonderful thing. But you have to open your eyes and watch and do the things that it's like, for instance, you're worried about losing your job.
Mm-hmm.
That's a terrible thing to have a feeling of. Try to avoid that feeling. Think, well, I can do better. If I lose this job, somebody else out there will want me because these people want me.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing. Climb higher, aspire higher, spiral out. Be who you want to be, not what someone wants you to be or the version that they want you to be. That's where it all went wrong in the beginning. Too many people trying to impress other people instead of living and loving themselves and saying, I just need to impress me. And I've impressed me. I've impressed me by living as long as I have and experiencing all the stuff that I have experienced without being sent to a hospital bed, without being arrested and thrown into a jail with a bunch of other people who have nothing but bad intent for this fellow man.
Mm-hmm.
That's my, every day that I live, it's a blessing because there's going to be something else weird happen just right around the corner. And I don't know what's going to be.
Well said, brother. I love it, man. Straight from the heart, Skratch. Love it, dude. Okay, everybody. Skratch, stay on. We'll debrief. Everybody, like Skratch was saying, to sum it up, not what he's just saying. Love yourself in healthy ways. Love your neighbors. Be kind to yourselves. Give yourself some grace. Don't worry about what other people think. If you love yourself in healthy ways, you'll learn the difference of good and evil. And that's the most important thing. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say about it, but just love yourself, man. That's important. You love yourself, you're gonna love people in healthy ways. That's pretty much it. Simple. And also embrace the truth and don't be afraid of that's coming out there. Ask questions, be inquisitive. There's nothing wrong with that. That lets you know that you're a human being and that you're a soul, independent and free thinking. Don't let people tell you how to think. Think for yourselves and have a conversation. On that note, everybody, God bless. Jesus loves you, and see you on the other side. Good night.